Welcome everyone. It is Monday, June 3rd, 2024. Welcome to the regular council session in the Municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc. The Municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc acknowledges it is located on Treaty 21 territory. We are thankful to generations of people who have taken care of this land, including the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, the Munsee Delaware First Nation, and the United Nation of the Thames. Before we begin, I can give a shout out to a couple of individuals. And even though the Mayor of Adelaide, Metcalf, did try to claim him as her own, I want to give a shout out to Hunter Haight of the Saginaw Spirit, who won the Memorial Cup last night. And I guess we do tend to bleed green here, but we bleed for those who are born and raised here. So shout out to Hunter, and also a shout out to Mount Bridges' own Easton Cowan, who've had a fantastic year. So I just want to give those two fine young individuals a shout out. Roll call, all are here present. Someone to approve the agenda. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Kennis. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Okay. Seeing none, move to presentation delegations. First, we have a presentation from Kevin Bork, resident delegation regarding the petition to increase Century Drive speed limit. Kevin?
Yeah, I'm here on behalf of about 60 different people who signed the petition in front of you. And sorry, that's too high tech for us people. So we're asking that the speed limit on Century Drive between McAvoy and Springwell be returned to 80 kilometers an hour. This was passed March of 2023, and it seems to us that there really is very little justification to have that speed limit that low. There's simply not enough traffic on the road. There's not enough houses on the road. I think at the March 2023 meetings, it was recommended by staff that the speed limit not be increased because it doesn't meet any of the requirements. So now it's become a continual nuisance for people, especially people who do travel for business. Some of the farmers who use that road to miss Mount Bridges because they don't want to make that turn on the Glendon. So now it's causing more delays than it's worth. And I really think the risk on that road of 80 kilometers an hour is minimal. Certainly no worse than I would see anywhere else in the township. So we're asking that some thought be given to this, that we return that to 80 kilometers an hour, because it just seems that it's just not justifiable for what's been done. So,
yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
Questions?
Any questions? Any questions, members of council? Councillor Kennis.
I guess just a question about how we would go about reconsidering such a request.
I'm going to refer, Walter's not here this evening, so instead I don't know if I'd have to go back to the traffic committee or what we'd have to do.
Through the chair to council, because the time frame also has shifted from a reconsideration, I'll just confirm with the clerk enough time has passed from that initial resolution. Because I believe that was in the spring of 2020.
6 months.
6 months, yes. So because that enough time has passed, council can certainly have a discussion and make a resolution if they so wish regarding this matter.
Yeah, the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think at the time that we considered it in March 23, we have some new information, and I guess it was kind of something we tried. I don't know that we were successful at doing what we had hoped to do. So I think it should be reconsidered, and if you would accept it, I'd make a motion that we return it to the 80 kilometer an hour.
Someone to second the motion. Councillor Derbyshire, any further discussion, questions? Okay, I have a second motion. Sorry, Councillor Wilsey, your hand. I'll put up a little higher there for me.
Yeah,
right?
sorry, just my question. In the letter that came there tonight, Mr. Burkett said that we did this without consulting him, and we only heard one side of it. If we're going to move it back, we should maybe talk to the other side that requested the change, maybe hear from both sides before we make a final decision. I don't want another delegation in 2 months asking us to turn it back again. We should, I think, hear from both people and hear both sides rather than just one side again, I think.
Okay, fair enough. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Hippel.
Just a comment through yourself. I do agree with Councillor Wilsey on that. It would be in our best benefit to be able to not have to do this again. So I had spoken to Chief Campbell a while ago about this, not just that road, but there's been other roads, and you know, I would say all country roads. When I say country, all the roads that have been in Middlesex County and around our areas, they're all 80. We always run into issues where, you know, it's dangerous, right? People getting out of their driveways. And I know, I do know people that live on Century, and I know it can be a bit touch and go at times there. But at the same time, it's not, like I do believe that I think 80 we should have left it at 80. But I don't think that's our issue. Our issue is speeding. Our issue isn't the whether or not we need to make people drive slower. People aren't driving slower. So we're always looking whether, I mean, country roads is slightly different than when we're in and around our towns, but people are speeding everywhere. And I mean, we really need to be on top of that, but by dropping speed limits, that doesn't stop people from going really fast when they shouldn't be. So anyhow, I am in agreement. I did, at the time, I thought it made sense because I knew of the issues that were going on at the time, and they were pretty dangerous, and there was some very close near misses, but at the same time, I do believe all our country roads really should be the same speed limit. It just makes sense.
Okay, any further questions? Have a second motion. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Next is from BMO Nesbitt Burns, introduction to the municipality's investment portfolio advisory team. I believe Director Dakin, your guest, if you want to introduce them, that would be great.
Thank you. So council, before you tonight is a delegation from Nesbitt Burns, BMO. They're our current investment people that do look after our investments because we're with the Bank of Montreal. And so one of the things that we just want to bring forward tonight and introduce the team to you is we're now looking at trying to expand our investment portfolio a bit to sort of look at taking advantage of some of the better interest rates now so that we can use interest revenue to offset some of the expenses that are coming forward. And so managing that. So we thought it best just to bring the team here tonight just to allow them to introduce themselves and give you some of the ideas that they've been working on with other municipalities. And I don't want to steal too much of their thunder, but I think this is a great opportunity for us as I would say a smaller to medium-sized municipality to be part of something that seems to be somewhat exclusive to a larger municipality. So with that, I'll leave it to the team just to introduce themselves. And then once this is completed tonight, one of the things that will be coming back is sort of the investment policy and some other more sort of concrete things as far as how we're going to roll that out. But tonight is just more of an introduction of the team and sort of some of the ideas that they have. So I'll leave it up to them to introduce themselves and go from there.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Bill. My name is Marty Hodgins, investment advisor with BMO Private Wealth. Thanks for having us, and I want to echo the mayor's comments. Congratulations on yet again more local stars in the hockey community and an entertaining game last night for sure. I've been 22 years at BMO Private Wealth, certainly working with institutional clients, charities, high net worth individuals, And to Bill's comments, this is what we do, and we're here to help. I want to introduce my associate, Yi Dang, who is also with us today, and our portfolio services group, Grant Carew, which is where the money is actually managed and taken care of. From that perspective, what we're looking to do is handle a customized capital preservation solution. There's lots of ways to do that, and Grant's going to touch a little bit about that. And we'll have time for questions if you'd like as well. So at this point, I'll pass things over to Grant.
Great. Thank you for having me. My name is Grant Carew. I work at BMO Desmond Burns, which is the wealth management arm of the Bank of Montreal. I'm on a smaller team called the Portfolio Services Group, and our expertise is the fixed income asset class. So we're looking at bonds, GICs, and the other variety of investment opportunities in fixed income. Interest rates have really risen a lot in the last few years post-COVID, with the Bank of Canada raising interest rates. So it creates a really great opportunity to get involved in fixed income, to add some interest income to any portfolio, especially to expand beyond GICs per se, as bonds offer superior liquidity and often better returns and diversification that can help an investment portfolio. Portfolio Services Group is led by Richard Belly. He started the team over 15 years ago. He's been in bonds for 25 years. I myself have been about 12 years in fixed income, and so we look forward to working with Strathroy to come up with a investment policy statement and a customized solution. We don't offer a fund. We're looking at individual securities that can be customized to the Strathroy's needs when it comes to credit quality and interest rate risk that would be appropriate. So we look forward to working together.
Any individual questions or areas you want us to dive any deeper into for myself, Yi, or Grant?
Council, any questions? Okay. I think we've all read the report. Is there anything you wish to add, Director Dakin?
No, I just, like I said, I think it's good to sort of know who we're dealing with and sort of give you an idea of their perspective. And like I said, this is an opportunity with improved interest rates to sort of look at a different revenue stream that we can start building some income on. And as we move forward, obviously, the specifics will come out a little more on how we do that. But it gives us opportunity to even leverage our investments as collateral for loans and those kinds of things. So I think that will be good in moving forward with some of the options that we have in front of us.
Thank you, and thank you for your time this evening.
Great, take care, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Next is petitions, requests for a major drain improvement, the Comfort Jackson Drain. Motion that council accept the notice of request for drain major improvements for the Comfort Jackson Drain 1973 and authorize Breed Associates to prepare an engineer's report on the matter. Motion to accept. Councilor Brennan, second by Councilor Hippel. Are there any questions before we proceed? Seeing none, all in favor? I don't know, CO, were you going to speak to this, Paul, or was anyone going to speak to it? CO. Well, we're good if there's not.
We weren't planning on.
Okay,
I think the
no, that's
report
fine.
contained all the information.
Okay. Fine, so we'll go to 5.2, which is request for major drain improvement, the fourth concession drain, 1987. Motion that council accept the notice of request for drain major improvement for the fourth concession drain, 1987, and authorize Breed Associates to prepare an engineer's report on the matter. Someone to bring a motion. Councilor Kennis, second by Councilor Brennan. All in favor? Carried. There are 3 minutes in front of us for approval. One is the regular council meeting minutes of May 21st. Special meeting of council minutes May 22nd. Special meeting of council minutes of May 27th. Motion to approve. Councilor Kennis, Councilor Pammer, are there any questions or errors? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Going to drainage matters, the Thornton drain. Motion to open the court of revision for the Thornton drain.
I've got a pecuniary interest with this one. I'm going to ask that.
Okay, yep. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor of opening? Carried. Are there any appeals? We have received no appeals. Any questions from members of council? Seeing none, we can put two motions together. Council received report EPW 2024-38 Thornton Drain 2024 quarter revision for information. And further, that subject to any appeals, provisional bylaw number 4024 be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda for third and final reading. Someone to bring the motion. Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Derbyshire. All in favor? Carried. Motion to close the quarter revision. Councillor Kennis, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? Carried. Come on back, Councillor Woolsey. There are a number of communications in front of us this evening. There are 8. There are 2 that require some action. First is temporary noise exemption request at 100 Head Street. Motion that council approve a temporary noise exemption request for the Strathroy water tower coating upgrade. Someone to bring the motion. Councillor Kennis, second by Deputy Mayor. Any questions? Councillor Brennan.
Are they going to be doing this work during the day, I hope, and they won't be doing it overnight when people are trying to sleep?
I saw that. Do you want to answer? Can you answer that? Who am I going to, the CAO or the ball?
Yes, through the chair. This work would be during the day.
Yeah. Any other questions? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Next one that requires action is a request from Westdale Development Corp. Letter, Edgewood subdivision agreement. Motion to, someone to bring the motion. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Derbyshire. Any questions, comments, or
What is the motion?
What's?
Oh, I apologize. You are correct. We're looking for a direction rather than a motion, so I do apologize. We need to have a discussion first. Councillor Kennis, and I do apologize.
I'm not sure if there's a motion on the floor.
No, there isn't.
But then I would make a motion to deny the waiving of the interest and fees and other charges.
Okay, thank you for that. Is that a second?
Seconded, please.
Second? Any discussion? Councillor Derbyshire.
Just so I'm clear and understand exactly, this is a result of their consultants or our consultants as to who drugged it? Like, they're claiming that because new people are looking at this, is that on their behalf or our behalf?
Director Huff.
I don't know who that's at.
Yeah, we'll try Director Huff.
Through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire. So all of the charges relate to either engineering, legal, or review of the natural heritage components. They're referencing a third party that was brought in when there was an impasse wherein our typical consultants weren't agreeable to the solutions that were proposed by Westdale, and we sought out another consultant for a further opinion that allowed them to find a solution to move forward.
Yep, Councillor Brennan.
Through the chair to the director. Before the bringing in of the consultant by the town, would there have been any late fees or charges owing to by Westdale before we brought in the new consultant?
Through the chair to Councillor Brennan. So I don't have the exact invoices, but I know, yes, there were invoices that had not been paid other than those being referred to.
Just a follow-up then. So prior to the bringing in of those consultants acclimated with the development, the new consultants, these charges were owing prior to that?
Through the chair to Councillor Brennan, yes, there was fees outstanding prior to that.
Any other questions? Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. If we could also clarify the motion perhaps at Council's wishes so that the fees be denied, but further that staff be directed to pursue collection of the charges as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Any other questions, comments?
I didn't.
Sorry, yep.
You need to check
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry.
You did. I thought I heard
I'm
him say
agreeable
yes,
to
and then we're
the
gonna go
addition
again.
of the collection
Yeah.
of those fees, so.
What? Sorry, I'm just looking for a repeat from.
Yep.
Sure, through the chair, the deputy mayor, so the initial motion was that the request for waiver of the late fees be denied. For clarity and for direction to staff, I'm recommending, pending your approval, a secondary clause that staff be directed to pursue collection of the charges.
You seconded the motion, Deputy Mayor. Got it there, Deputy?
Yeah, no, I.
You okay with
Oh,
that?
I'm fine, sorry, I didn't know you were staring at me.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at staring.
Yeah, I'm. No, I was just rereading it.
Okay, that's
Very
fine, so you
dramatic.
got the motion in front of you. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. We now have, there are 6 remaining correspondence. Motion to receive those 6. Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Kennis. Were there any questions or concerns about any of them? Councillor Wilsey.
I've got a question on 8.3. Maybe our county councillors can ask this, is the Middlesex County, are they looking at implementing development charges in addition to our own? Or what is the, what will be happening at this meeting? If one of the county councillors maybe could help with that.
So, you want to take that one, or I can flip it over to Director Huff, you will know. Can you answer that one, Director Huff? I can, but I'll get it wrong.
Through the chair, certainly yes, so this would be in addition to the development charges that we charge locally.
Any other concerns, any? Okay, you have 6 correspondence printed, we have a second motion. All in favor of receiving them? Opposed, if any? Carried. There are 2 notice of motion. Councillor Derbyshire, your motion is first, if you want to take the floor.
Thank you. I guess it's through you to council. I'm bring forward a motion where the municipality engages a qualified realtor to provide us a market evaluation, market valuation of the Caradoc Place property, so that we have a value, like I guess a real estate value. So if we do ever need to sell, we have an idea what it's worth.
You have a seconder for your motion. You seconded that, Deputy Mayor? Yep. Any questions, comments, Councillor Derbyshire? We'll go with Councillor Kennis and Councillor Hippel.
I don't object to the appraisal, I just wonder if it's better to wait till the building is full, because one of the methods of appraising a building is using the income approach, and since we're only at about 60% occupancy at this point, just wonder if waiting until the building is fully occupied to give a more accurate valuation might be appropriate.
Councillor Hippel.
Honestly, that's what I was going to ask. I wasn't sure how this works. I don't think it's a bad thing. However, I don't know if it would be more beneficial for us to have it full. And I don't know how that works. And I guess I was going to ask Councillor Palmer like how full you are, and at some point, you know, when you do get full occupancy, then at that point, maybe we should do that. Then we can perhaps jump on it at that point. But I don't know. That's just a question. I'm not sure how this works. I've never done anything like this before. So,
Councillor Palmer, could you comment on the?
Well, just
occupancy?
reiterate what, the occupancy is about 60%, so I just reiterate what, Councillor Kenneth said, is that the valuation wouldn't be true because they go by income. It's not really a sellable building at half full. So it would, wouldn't come in at true value. I mean, we have the final, we have, the building was just built and we know what the cost of it was. I don't know what would differ. And I guess my other question is just to Councillor Derbyshire is what is the purpose because the municipality can't sell the building, it's owned by the corporation. So I guess I'm just curious as to why you want, what you want to do with the information.
Councilor Derbyshire.
Okay, so it's my understanding, we own the building, you guys run the asset. So if you come to us and say, we lost $600,000 this year, and we decide to dissolve the board and sell the building, that's council does that. So it's our asset. I'm just trying to figure out what our asset is worth. Is it worth the $14 million we have put against it? You know, or what, like, that's what, even in saying that number, I don't even know if I'm right with that number as to what exactly is owed. You know, what happens if it burns tomorrow? What's it worth? Like, there's just values that I understand if it's fully occupied, the rent gets included in this, that, and the other thing, but we can figure that out. If rent's $21.50 and it's supposed to be this, that's what that value is. What is the actual building itself and the property worth? If it had to go to the open market tomorrow with nobody in it.
Fair enough. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, you have a second motion in front of you. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Oh, I'm sorry, opposed, I meant opposed. Denied, yeah.
So we hit.
Yeah, denied. Yeah.
So in 5 months, I can ask again what the value of this place is?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I do have one more question. I'll turn this on. I had one more question on this vote, being that, do you guys have a pecuniary interest in this thing?
I can answer that, no. According to the clerk will correct me on this if I'm wrong, but any board that you're on, we're put on at the behest of the municipality, and that sits true for the county council. We don't have a pecuniary interest. Okay. Next is Councillor Palmer's motion. Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, so the motion, brought a motion forward tonight regarding the planters, the street planters on Caradoc Street between Metcalf and Front. I think all of us around this horseshoe would agree we've had many calls and complaints from people who live on that stretch of road or access businesses on that stretch of road who are having considerable difficulty, particularly with sight lines and with actually hitting the planters because they're so close to the drive. So I think we just need to resolve this for the people involved, and so I'm proposing that the municipality approach each of those residents and ask if they have any particular issues. From talking to them, my sense is that some will just want it shortened so that they have a better, more access into their driveway, so they're less likely to have cars smashing against it, which we've seen lots of photos of. And then there may be others who just need them lowered so that they have a better sight line. So I'm not suggesting at this point like we rip them out, but that, you know, I think these would be fairly small modifications, but would make big difference to the people whose driveways are alongside them.
You have a seconder for your motion. Councillor Hippel. Open the floor to questions. Councillor Wilsey.
With small modifications, it's been my experience, like I don't have anything, I think they do need to be modified, but my thought is if there's small modifications going on where we have to take it apart, put it back together and fix the concrete and everything else, it's usually about the same cost as just removing them. Like I don't think there's going to be much savings by the time we have to redo concrete and do patchwork and everything else to make them smaller and fix what's under them. I think if we have to shorten them, we should maybe just change them back to parking, and we could have more parking on that street.
Deputy Mayor.
Excuse me. Somewhat thinking down the same lines as Councillor Wilsey, I'm not in favor of parking on the street because it wouldn't be on the street, it'd be on the boulevard, which is illegal. But I look at that and see the problems there. I envision removing those, claiming the bricks, we'll stack them up somewhere else. Hopefully we can save the trees, get them back down into the dirt, asphalt, paint it green, and turn it into a bicycle path to get you from downtown core on your way out of town.
Okay. Any other comments? Councillor Brennan and Councillor Hippel.
Thank you, Your Worship. I hesitate to support this motion in its current form this evening. I'd rather see something come back constructed in a kind of option A, option B, option C format with costs attached to each one. It sounds as though we're getting into the expenditure of money here in terms of staff time and material. I'd also like to perhaps have a better idea of how many individuals on this stretch of road actually want a modification made. I know there's been one site in particular where there have been some collisions and blocks knocked off. I'm not aware of any others, I could be wrong. But rather than support it in its present form, which I think is very loose and could kind of lead to a lot of confusion and a lot of people asking for all kinds of different things at different locations, and it could go on all summer, and it could be, you know, every 2 weeks we're getting another request. I just don't know how this is constructed, but I'd rather see an option A, B, C with costs attached come back. So my preference would be to see this be withdrawn or sent to staff in such a way that it comes back in a more tangible form. Thank you.
Councillor Hippel.
Thank you. Through yourself, I seconded this because I was also getting a lot of comments on issues with people going in, especially at one point there was a doctor's office there, and there is various issues. I know it's not there any longer, but I had quite a few comments from that, and another business down the road, and one house. But at the same time, I'm also cognizant of the financial side of this, because, so I was actually really glad when Councillor Brennan brought that up. I'm wondering if maybe we can redo this, perhaps, and withdraw this. I would be okay, if you would be okay with that, Councillor Palmer, if we could withdraw this and then perhaps come back with something a little bit more concrete, or concrete. So something a little bit with, like you said, with options, but definitely the financial side of it, because we really don't want to be pouring more money into something that we are already, that our constituents were already upset that the money was spent on such things.
I'm just clearing my throat, I'm not trying to get your attention.
Yeah, and Councillor Palmer.
I did that, and then I'm like, uh-oh.
I'm not looking at that intent.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to refer this over to staff.
I think we have a, are you?
You do, I can make this
refer
motion.
it? I'm just checking, yeah, refer it.
So I'll make a motion to refer it to staff for a cost analysis with an option that would satisfy the original motion, such as reducing the size, and an option to remove them completely and finishing off the asphalt, you know, in some appropriate manner. And if there's a third option that council wanted, I'm fine with the third option, but I'll refer to staff for those two option cost analysis.
Yeah, Councillor, so have you made that motion, Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Made that motion, need a seconder for his motion. Do you seconded, Councillor Wilsey? Okay, now, Councillor Brennan.
I might suggest that in this motion that we're asking staff for designs that are going to solve the sightline issue. This seems to be the issue. We're looking for revised planter designs that are going to improve or solve the sightline issue.
So as a third option.
Some kind of wording like that, because I think the problem that we're dealing with here that I've heard are sightlines. And we're really considering design modifications to improve sightlines with regard to the planters. So I'm just wondering if that somehow could be included in the motion.
Okay, Councillor Palmer.
I think it's not just sightlines, though, it's turning. It's the access to turn, so it's not, so there's two issues. One is some people can't see, and others is there isn't enough room to maneuver, they're too close to the drive. So we need something that considers, a design that would consider both of those issues. And I also like would like to look at the option too of removing them all together as an option. What does that involve, and what would that cost entering into just a regular expanded sidewalk / bike lane?
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
I'll amend my, if I may, I'm not sure we have a seconded one, so you'll have to.
Councillor Wilsey seconded it.
So I made a two option motion. So on option 1, have it include with sight lines and turning radiuses into the private drives.
Okay. You agree to that amendment, Councillor Wilsey?
Yes, I'm good at that. I would ask if we could possibly include one more column on this report, is the amount of staff time required to maintain each of the options going forward. I know if they're full gardens, it's one time. If it's asphalt for a bike path, it's going to be significantly less time. Then we can just look at the ongoing cost while we're reviewing the options.
Okay.
Even just an estimate's fine.
All right, I'm going to ask, as soon as she's able, Brianna to read back the motion.
If Deputy Mayor is satisfied with that addition of that option, as he moved the motion originally?
As a third.
As a third.
So the third item wouldn't be an option, it's
Correct.
in addition that,
In reference to the two previous options.
to the current, what is the current labor costs for maintaining the gardens in their current state. So they want to, I think the councillor is looking for a comparison.
Okay.
So, thank you, Council. This is what I have as the motion, and open to correction or any changes to ensure I capture it correctly. Moved by Deputy Mayor and Councillor Wilsey that Council refer the matter to staff for a cost analysis with an option that would satisfy the original motion, including sight lines and turning radius into private drives. And the option to remove them completely and finishing off the asphalt, and including the amount of staff time to maintain each option going forward, including the current state.
Okay, does that capture your intent?
Does it, without having it in front of me to read, so your third part to it, we have an option to modify, we have an option to remove, and then we have what is, so the third really isn't an option, the third is, we also are asking for, so it's kind of like, and furthermore, a cost analysis as far as what it is to maintain, and I see the CAO is understanding. Thank you.
Okay, so you've heard any further questions? Councillor Canis.
Just a comment. It's also the gateway into our community, so paving over the gateway in a flat piece of concrete with no aesthetics, I think is something that we don't want to see either. But that's just a comment.
Okay. All right, we have a second. Councillor Derbyshire.
Sorry, just on that note, in paving over it, if it is an option to remove it, do we keep the stuff and put it somewhere else, or do we sell it? As opposed to just paying somebody to remove it, and it's an $80,000 removal when there's probably $100,000 worth of stone.
Like we'll cross that bridge when we get there, when the report comes back. I understand what you're asking, but when it comes back, that's a good.
Well, just if it comes back, not that, but if it comes back that it's $100,000 to remove the stuff, and they're just taking all the stuff with them, like, that's a pretty good deal. I might sign up.
Okay. Second motion, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Okay, now we move to Building and Planning Department. First one is 21438 Adelaide Road, demolition tender award. Motion to receive the report first. Councillor Brennan, second by Deputy Mayor, all in favor? Connor, you're going to wish to speak to the report first.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Staff went to tender for the demolition of 21438 Adelaide Road. At time of closing, the municipality received 6 bids, the lowest of which was Salandria Limited at $56,777. And Salandria Limited is staff's recommendation for the awarding of the tender.
Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, motion that council award the 21438 Adelaide Road demolition project to Salandria Limited in the amount of $56,777, including HST. Motion, Councillor Kennis, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Kennis.
Just a question, do we see any of this being recoverable?
Connor or Mr. Dakin?
Through the chair to Councillor Kennis, so this would be added to the property taxes. So in the event that the property gets sold, or it's on the property taxes.
Any other?
Just a follow-up, it would be a first charge on the property, then I assume, right? Like first, we come before anybody else on the property?
Through the chair to Councillor Kennis, yes, we're first, yeah, we're first in line.
Okay.
On any property.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. The Strathroy-Caradoc draft encroachment policy. Someone bring a motion to receive the report. Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Pelkman. All in favor? Carried. Director Huff. Speak to the report.
Thank you, Chair. So this draft encroachment policy and sample encroachment agreement is brought to council based on some previous discussions that were had about we do have a number of encroachments that staff are aware of and seeking solutions to those. And staff have worked with the county solicitor to draft this encroachment policy. So as well as the county solicitor has also provided a sample agreement to assist council to understand what one would look like. So essentially, it's an approach whereby if there is an encroachment and there's not significant hazards to it, there is an option where there is a possibility that they could enter into an agreement with the municipality. We outline the permissions, we ensure that there's adequate insurance. There would be an agreement, it would be registered on title, and it would be there would be a fee that they would have to pay to cover the registration on title of that agreement. As well, there'd be an annual fee that would show up on their property taxes to ensure that the property owners understood that this was something that was by virtue of being granted by the municipality. It doesn't become as a right in the future. And so that's the purpose of having that annual reminder to them on their property taxes as a small fee. So at this point, I'll leave it for council. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions? Councillor Pelkman and the Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Through the mayor to the director. Just one. I saw it in the sample agreement, but I didn't see it in the notes, so I just want to make sure that I'm clear on the issue. If we sign an encroachment agreement with someone and we decide we want the land back because we're going to do something with it, that we can cancel that agreement at any time?
Through the chair, that's correct, yes.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, sorry, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just see in the draft, I'm looking for the section number, but it's a delegation of authority to the director to do all of this outside of council. Is that what we'd be looking for? I'm not sure how many of these we would get. I'm suspecting it would be I'm sure there's some that have to go back and be dealt with, but other than that, I wonder if it's of such small number that council would prefer to deal with them. And that's under section 4.1 of the bylaw as given to us here.
Director Huff?
Yes, through the chair, that's certainly something that can be amended based on the direction of council. The intent is always that the agreements will always come before council. There's always an appeal process that comes before council, and so the thought was the administrative component could be completed by staff based on the policy that outlines the process. But if council wishes to receive those applications and make decisions on those, we can certainly craft the policy to that end.
Any other questions? Councillor Wilsey.
We've heard from a couple of councillors, and I'm sure there's probably more questions. With any bylaw, I'm going to suggest that we put this through to one of the strategic priorities meetings where we can discuss it more in depth, because here we've only got 1 or 2 questions. We're going to get a bylaw next meeting, where we've only had 2 questions from. We're not seeing what the revisions are. It just seems very quick to move a bylaw forward based on a draft that we've only asked a couple of questions.
Just to see if we haven't had one.
Yep. So I, Councillor, just had to see whether we had a motion, so. Any other comment? Councillor Kennis.
I think this is a long overdue bylaw, and I think it's, pretty straightforward, and so see us move forward on it, so.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
Just one further comment. After hearing the director's comments, I just went and I looked at the appeal process under 13.1. Because an appeal, so if it was denied by staff and then appealed to council, we essentially are then put in the somewhat awkward position sometimes of overruling our staff, which is the position I would prefer not to be put in, rather just make the decision ourselves up front. If it becomes burdensome for council to deal with it, but I don't think we're that big that we're going to have that. I could be wrong, but just understand, if you delegate the authority, you will then be sitting in appeal of your own staff.
So suggest, Deputy Mayor, if you want to make a motion with that amendment, you read the motion, it says we can make it as directed to be modified. So if you want to make a motion with that modification for staff.
Thank you. So let me just pull up the motion that's recommended here so I get it somewhat right. So I'll make the motion as recommended in the first part. Did we already receive the report?
We received the report. We just haven't brought a motion.
That council directs staff to bring back a bylaw authorizing a draft encroachment policy, which would have council making the decision under section, what did I say that was, 4.1, I think, as opposed to staff. So it's a 4.1, that it would come to council for decision with a staff report.
Okay, someone to second the motion? Nope, no one to second it, okay. Shaking heads, Councillor Pelkman. You want to put an amendment on it?
No, I just wanted to make a comment. So first off, if my personal opinion is that people are on our lawn, get off. I don't even think we should be entering encroachment agreements. I think the encroachment agreements is a way to be nice, to say, okay, you've been using our property for X number of years, instead of having you remove your shed or whatever it is that's on it, we'll let you keep it there, but you're gonna have to clear these hoops. So, I think we're gonna see every single person an appeal, because they're not gonna like the fact that they gotta pay a fee in the first place. But if we're gonna enter in an encroachment agreement, we need to cover our costs. If you're gonna use our property, then you're gonna pay for the cost to have the ability to use it. They're not gonna like the annual fee. They're not gonna like the fact that they gotta insure it. If the people are already inconsiderate enough to just ignore their property line and make the use of their property, they're gonna disagree to virtually everything that's in the encroachment agreement. I don't really wanna have all those arguments in front of council. I would much prefer to say, here's the approach, take it or leave it. The staff can deliver the message if they decide they wanna fight the fight. They will have already got the message that we're not really interested in doing it any other different way. So I don't know how we're gonna overturn staff's decisions unless we wanna say, yeah, go ahead and use our land for nothing. Because that's the turning over the decision. I would agree we need something. If the council's wishes to have an encroachment policy, I'm happy with the way it is. I think that people need to pay a cost to use the municipal land, and they need to pay a cost annually so that it's a reminder that they're using our land, and that the insurance is on it, because now there's a liability to the fact that somebody's shed who's storing propane tanks could cause damage to somebody else's property, but those propane tanks were on our property. So I'm okay with the policy the way it is, not okay with council having to deal with every single issue, because I think if those people are using it already, they're gonna appeal the process no matter what. So I'd rather have them go, yeah, there's the message, rather than having the message come from us. We've already made our decision. Those are the rules.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, no one seconded your motion, so.
So I have a comment back to
Yeah,
this.
go for it.
So if you delegate the authority over to staff, what policy are we putting in place for staff to say what can be approved and what can't be approved? Because otherwise, it's a rather untenable position you're placing that staff person in. We have no guidance for them.
Who's in the report?
I mean, I'm just going, I understand fully what you're saying, Councillor Pelkman. I would deny everything then, if I was the staff person, because I have no guidance as to, is 2 feet of your fence on my property or on municipal property okay? Like, you're giving all of that delegated authority to one person with no guidance. So we'd have to put a policy in place to provide that guidance for the staff.
Okay, Councillor Wilson.
I'd like to make a motion to refer this to the strategic priorities meeting on the next available date, so we can continue this discussion there and get on with the business of the evening.
Okay, someone a second. Councillor Derbyshire, any questions or comments? We have a second motion, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Next one is community services, a gateway signage report. Motion to receive the report first. Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Caddis. Director Lilborn, did you wish to speak to the report?
Absolutely, Your Worship. I won't go through the whole report. It's 8 pages long. Just want to say that there was a fair amount of discussion at the Finance Committee meeting with regards to the wayfinding strategy and the gateway signage. So staff felt it important that we bring back a report giving a little bit of context to what the signage looks like, where it would be located, the costs associated with it, and so on. The wayfinding strategy was adopted by council in 2021. The strategy was developed through a consultation process with members of the Strathroy BIA, Strathroy Chamber of Commerce, Strathroy and Area Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Mount Bridges Business Association. So they all had members on the steering committee, which brought forward the final product to council for approval in 2021. The strategy is fully compliant with the AODA, as well as is designed to help direct not necessarily the people who live in the community, but the people who are coming through your community to get to points of interest throughout the community, as well as creating a sense of pride and interconnectedness between the communities of Strathroy-Caradoc. So if there are any questions, I'll leave it at that, and I'll be glad to answer them.
Questions? Councillor Pammer.
Through you to Director Leaborn, can you refresh my memory? Did we put any money in the 2024 budget for the wayfinding signage?
Through the chair to Councillor Pammer, staff had a request of $300,000 and council did not approve the $300,000.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Councillor Kennis and Councillor Brennan.
Just a comment, I like the signs, I think they stand out in the community, and just like trees and plants and other beautification things within the community, I think they're important. And so it's good for people that visit our town or our whole municipality to know where they're going and what they can see in the municipality.
Councillor Brennan.
I concur with Councillor Kennis's remarks. In terms of the types of signs and the locations of the signs, that's very helpful to help council understand what the potential cost would be. What I would ask for perhaps would be to have the director suggest what the priorities would be. In other words, which of these would we get the biggest bang from our buck if we were to say we can do some but not all of these, or maybe we do many of them over a period of years. But I don't think we're ever probably going to do them all in a single year. But if there were some here that could be suggested to be done first and second and third, just levels of priorities, that might be helpful in council's deliberations. Thank you.
Did you have a comment, Director Littlemore? No. Any other questions? Councillor Hippel.
Yes, through yourself to Director Littlemore. I was just curious about the Delaware sign because of that being in Middlesex Center, so I wasn't sure where we were going with that one.
Through the chair to Councillor Hippel, part of Delaware is in Strathroy-Caradoc, so we would include a sign there if council wished, right? So the locations that are identified, I've included all of the communities within Strathroy-Caradoc. If council chooses not to put a sign in Delaware, that could be council's prerogative. But because we're trying to create an interconnectedness between the communities, I thought it was important that branding be the similar.
Okay, Councillor Hippel.
So just to follow up, and I like that, I knew that, but I was just like, it's just such a small, tiny piece. But I do know that, yeah, I do like the fact it would be nice if you could prioritize, that would be nice. But I know that because there's so many unique aspects of Strathroy-Caradoc, being we have Mount Bridges, Melmore, and Campbellvale, and obviously that tiny piece of Delaware. The people that live in those areas do like to be known as living in those areas. So, anyways, it was nice to see that. So.
Okay. Any other comments, Councillor Brennan?
Well, then I'll just make it a motion then that maybe council ask that this list of financial implications for the signs, maybe that we perhaps ask the director to provide a suggested prioritization of implementation for council's consideration. That's all.
Someone to second motion, Councillor Pammer. All in favor? Carried. Just a quick comment. Given we were talking about traffic and that interesting conversation with the county engineer, Chris Trainey, over the last couple of days actually, and signage, gateway signage is actually part of a traffic calming measure. I learned something. So signs along with horticulture actually acts as a traffic calming measure, and Chris will be coming back with that report. So we did vote to receive the report, correct?
We still have to call the vote on that.
Okay, call the vote to receive the report. Opposed? Carried. Sir.
If I may, just one comment on that. Would that come back to a budget meeting as opposed to a council meeting? Yeah. When we start that again?
Yeah. Yes.
Through your worship to the Deputy Mayor, that was going to be my suggestion when I spoke to staff, that this is part of the 2025 budget deliberations, so that you won't see this report for a while until it will be coming sooner than we think, as we're into June now. But yes, it'll be part of budget.
Thank you. Next, Engineering and Public Works. I believe you're going to speak to this report. The Queen Street Phase 2 construction order. Motion to receive the report. Councillor Kennis, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? Carried. Before we begin, you wish to speak to the report? CAO.
I'll just quickly highlight again, this is phase 2 of the Queen Street project, and as we had brought a report forward earlier to council, this is being completed in 2 phases in 2024 and 2025. There were 4 submissions. The recommendation is for the award to Burnham Excavating Limited, and that council award BM Ross and Associates as the contract administration for this project.
Okay. I'm going to break this one in because there are 2 parts to the motion. So the first motion is the council award the Queen Street Phase 2 road reconstruction project to Burnham Excavating for $7,242,171.72, excluding HST. Someone to bring the motion. Councillor Kennis and Councillor Palmer. Any questions? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I'll try to make it quick. So, pardon me. Thank you, Your Worship. So I know Omega did last year's phase 1, I guess it was called, and everything I heard, they did an incredible job. Certainly, I've seen Burnham around town for many, many years, and have no reason to believe they're not a reputable firm. But 2 questions: is there any benefit to going with Omega since they've already started it, or is this common that, like, when you split it into 2, it's 2? So that was my first question. And second would be, with all of these, so we got 4 of them in front of us, are they all comparing apples to apples, or do some of these have contingency costs on the background, which in other people's or other companies' quotes, those contingencies are actually in the dollar value we see now?
CAO.
Excuse me. So, pardon me. So through the chair to the deputy mayor. So the request and submission was the same. The tender was the same for all of the submissions. So the requirements and the breakdown of costs were they all applied to the same tender. So what we see is based on the specs of the tender that was requested. So included all costs for the project.
Okay. Yep. Any, Councillor Wilsey?
I've got 2 questions. The first one is the amount of contingency. Typically on all the projects that have come before council before, we have about a 10% contingency for going over, and now we've got a 1.2%. On an $8 million project, $100,000 doesn't take long to blow through $100,000 on an $8 million project. Just want to make sure that number is correct. And then the second number is for the additional money that we're coming, with that coming out of the 2025 capital budget. I know we've already spent stuff out of the 2025 capital budget. As we're spending it, should we get a running total of how much we've already committed to the next year, if that's easy for staff to do when we're committing funds for the next year?
Go to CAO, and then you can direct if you want Director Dakin.
So just to highlight for council, in the previous report that we brought forward, where we discussed splitting the project over 2 years and the associated costs, we had concerns that the project was going to be a greater expense than it actually is. The amount that you see before you today is actually much less than what we had brought forward in that previous report. So we are pleased that we are actually, the amount is only $366,000 compared to what we initially thought the cost was going to be. So I did want to share that with council. As for the discussion of the running total, I can direct that to Director of Finance, Mr. Dakin.
Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilsey. So what we were looking at originally was about a $3.7 million difference in year 1 and year 2. So it's now come down to $366,000 is what's going to be needed out of the 2025 capital, which would come out of the OSIP grant, which is about $2.9 million, and we haven't allocated any money yet from the 25, so that would be the first allocation of that money.
Okay.
But one of the things that you will see is that as we start bringing these projects forward, financial reports are going to show sort of here's where the reserves are at, and here's where what we've committed to spend and what we've spent. So those will be part of the financial reports going forward as well. So I think we've covered it up both ways.
Councilor Wilsey. So the only other question was just why the contingency is low compared to other projects that we've approved.
Through the chair, I'm going to see if Director Dakin, if you, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm not sure if Director Dakin, you're able to provide an answer to that.
No, I'm not aware of the contingency. I think the contingency listed here, the 100,000, is part of sort of the contract administration piece, doing land acquisition, those kinds of things. I think there's a contingency built in to the construction costs, but I can bring a report back with that amount as to the breakdown of what those contingency costs were.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of awarding the contract to Burnham? Opposed, if any? Next is the council award BM Ross Associates Limited, the contract administration for the amount of $755,000, excluding HST. Someone to bring the motion? Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Cass. Any questions? Deputy Mayor.
So how did we select BM Ross for this?
CAO.
Through the chair to the deputy mayor, BM Ross was the engineer who completed the design and tendering of the project. So this is a continuation, and it is would be a sole source award.
So may I add, we tendered, the engineering of this project tendered, we approved it, we sent it to BM Ross, correct?
I believe so, yes, correct.
Thank you.
Actually, I have a question, people can indulge me. It's a lot of money for contract administration. So I notice on the next one, I just have to ask, what is contract? And I should know this, but what is contract administration? Yep.
So I had prepared, because there, if you notice at the next one, there is a big difference between the two. And specifically for this project, it is a larger amount because of the complexity of this one. Because of the railroad crossing, which is part of this project, there's much more administration and approvals and permits required with CN. So that is a larger component of the project. And it also includes things like the settlement of the rail. So from an engineering standpoint and administration, this is a more complex project because of the railway, and that's where that additional costs are associated with.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a second motion that council award BM Ross and Associates Limited the contract administration for the amount of $755,000. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Next is the Saxon Road Reconstruction and Strathroy Crossing Drain Award. Motion to receive the report. Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Pelkman. All in favor? Carried. CAO, do you wish to speak to the report?
Thank you, Your Worship. So again, before you, this is the project which is bringing up Saxon Road to the urban standards. So again, that includes adding streetlights, the sidewalks, and the connection into the South Road subdivision, storm sewers, and the like. And again, just to highlight, this is a reconstruction from Carroll Street east to Collins Way. Because this project, Saxon Road project, was occurring at the same time as the Strathroy Crossing Drain, staff took the opportunity to combine the two projects as the storm infrastructure is important to both projects. So we had 9 bids received on this one. The recommendation from staff is that Clark Construction be awarded this tender. Clark Construction is also completing work within South Grove subdivision, which also includes stormwater management. So it is staff's belief that due to the connection and the timing of both of those, that it would make sense for Clark Construction to undertake excuse me, the project. And also it is staff's recommendation that Spreet Associates complete the administration for this project. Also just wanted to highlight for council, in here we've included, because there's a connection with South Grove development in with this project, we did want to just talk a little bit about that outlet and that subdivision and the work that needs to be done in South Grove regarding the stormwater management pond and the storm sewers, which need to be installed under the road. So we did want to highlight that for council as well in the timing of those two projects and the work that still needs to be excuse me, done in South Grove subdivision. I also circulated to council an email this afternoon with some further information. So I am happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Any questions? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Just a comment that, sorry, go ahead. Thank you. Just a comment that you had made. So did you say there's sewer pipes or water pipes under the roads in the subdivision that now need changing, or?
So within South Grove, there is, sorry, through the chair to the deputy mayor, through within the subdivision, there needs to be installation of the storm sewers need to connect to the catch basins. So there's some work that's going to have to take place as well as the storm pond. And maybe what I can do, just from the specifics of this, I can turn it over to Director Huff, and I believe we also have staff on that can actually speak to the specifics of the work that that's taking place in South Grove. Just maybe that is best, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, that's fine.
Take the line.
Yeah, either Director Huff or Jake. We'll let you delegate, Director.
Through the chair, I'm going to pass the torch over to Jake DeRitter. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So through the chair to council. So within the South Grove subdivision, we're aware of some drainage issues. And so the work that's being proposed there is really just to correct those issues. So there's going to be the installation of various storm sewers that connect into some catch basins. Some of those catch basins are in the road, some are in the rear yards. They're really picking up a lot of the problem areas that we've identified over the years. So those new storm sewers will lead into a new stormwater management pond that will be located in the final phase of the subdivision that's not yet constructed. And then that pond will outlet to the new storm sewers on Saxon Road. And then obviously Saxon Road outlets to the new municipal drain. So all three are sort of interconnected to provide some stormwater management to the area.
Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, still on this issue.
Okay, go ahead. And then we'll go to Councilor.
So when South Grove was initially built, it would have been engineered, I hope. Was it built to the engineering specs that were in place at the time? And now we're finding that those engineering specs aren't working. So is that the addition? Or was it built not to the engineering specs? And where I'm getting at is, like, where is the fault? So like the mayor and I were up there on Monday, I think it was, during the heavy rains. So I certainly saw the drainage issues and we definitely want to resolve it. I'm just wondering, you know, we seem to keep going back and forth, and are we holding the developer responsible, or is he responsible? And did he build it to specs and
so I'm gonna
somebody else's problem?
I hope you don't mind indulge me, Deputy Mayor. We have a motion on for the next one. Your question's fair. I just wonder if it's relevant to the motion at hand. Not opposed to asking the question. I just wonder if it's now or later we want to ask it, because
it makes it.
Yeah, I just be careful, right? Because if it's relevant to the motion in front of us. Councillor Hippel.
Thank you. Just to comment through yourself, I have been dealing with a lot of these residents for a very long time, for 6 years, and they have been waiting a very long time to get some of these corrections done. And like you said, you've been down there after a good rain. It doesn't even need to be a good rain. It can just be a rain. And it's very problematic, and most have been fairly patient, but at the same time, when when that whole area was first built, their expectation that wasn't going to happen, right? So moving forward, I mean, in my world, when I read this, I'm not an expert, so I can't, I mean, that's why we have Jake DeRuiter here, but I just think, oh my gosh, I was so happy to see this, because it's just something they've been waiting for so long to get corrected. So I'm really happy about this. I do understand the questions you have, because it's fairly concerning going backwards to find out what the heck, why did that transpire? But I would love to see this done for the residents that have been waiting for a very long time.
Any other, Councilor Derbyshire?
Thank you. Through you to, I'm just gonna say council. I do agree with the deputy mayor in his questions. I don't believe it's part of the decision we need to make tonight.
Thank you for that,
I think that was brought in to justify the reason for Clark construction, not for any other reason. I do believe that is a debate for definitely another night, and I do believe that the deputy mayor's questions are valid as to who is responsible for this. So I think we should just move forward with, if we're at the part of the motion, let's make the motion that we accept. Are they saying Clark here? Is that who Spreet says? Let's just go with that and put the motion forward.
I agree. So someone to bring a motion to council award the Saxon Road reconstruction and Strathroy Crossing Drain Project to Clark Construction Inc. for $2,825,000 excluding HST. Councilor Hippel, second by Councilor Derbyshire. Any questions? Councilor Wilsey.
Similar one that I had before. I don't know if we're going to get an answer tonight, but I'm just wondering about the contingency, because this project is less than half the cost of the other one, and the contingency is $370,000 instead of $100,000. So I thought it was a percentage, which is what we were getting before, and then one is 1%, and then this one is like 12. I don't understand the consistency between these two reports on similar projects.
I don't know if CEO can answer or Director Dakin.
Through the chair, unfortunately, I would have to check with staff to get the detailed response to that.
Okay. Any other questions? Have a second motion. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Second motion is that council award Spreet Associates London Limited the contract administration for the amount of $104,650 excluding HST. Someone to bring the motion. Councilor Pelkman, second by Councilor Kennis. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going quick.
Sorry, I'm asking lots of questions tonight, but is Spreet the engineer on this entire subdivision?
Through the chair, if I could direct to Director Huff on that. I'm not sure for the subdivision.
Yeah, Director Huff.
Yeah, through the chair. So Spreet's certainly been involved on our side, but on the other side, there's a different engineering firm.
Thank you.
Okay. Any others? Second. Seeing none, you have a second motion. All in favor? And Deputy Mayor, I didn't mean to cut you off. I agree, it's an important discussion. We'll have that.
And I abstain from that vote.
Yep.
Because of my questions.
Yep. Advanced metering infrastructure recommendation that council receive report EPW 24-29, the automated water meter reading for information. Someone to bring a motion. Councilor Caddis, second by the Deputy Mayor. Are there any questions? Councilor Wilsey.
Outside of these two options, I've just been talking with a few different people, and this comes to where we were at on the water recycling board. Is there was some interest from the board where they've came to different municipalities about putting the water meters onto their trucks. So instead of us having to pay staff and collect them, they could actually be on a truck that would drive past in the same neighborhood and collect all the debt anyways. I just didn't know if that's something we're interested in looking into, or if we could mount it on our own trucks. I guess what I'm trying to get away from is a need to have a dedicated vehicle and dedicated staff to go around and collect this. It seems like a job that people could do like a secondary thing with an automatic reader that's going to pick up the data. Because this option is a lot, and I just think there's a more efficient way to do it than what we're doing.
I think Mr. Zuberbuehler, CEO, have heard you, so I suggest they should come back with something. It's a plausible option. Have you heard of that, Paul?
Through the chair, Councillor Wilsey, I think that if we're going to consider other options, the two that are presented are kind of the standard ones that I've heard about in the industry. To be putting information, having other third parties and stuff like that collecting the data, specific equipment that has to be installed at each of the vehicles. So this equipment would have to be installed on the other vehicles as well. And I'd also like to highlight, the amount of staff time is, 2 days or less per month for doing these reads.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, you have a second motion. All in favor of receiving the report? Opposed, if any? Carried. Sludge removal tender award, motion to receive the report. Councilor Brand, second by Councilor Canis, all in favor? Carried. Mr. Zuberbuehler, do you wish to speak to the report first?
Sure, through the chair. This is similar to the sludge removal that we've had done over the last couple of years. Wessup has been the one that completed it over the last, or has won the last couple of contracts. There's been no concerns or issues with the service provided.
Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, motion that council award the 2024 sludge removal to Wessup Inc. in the amount of $275,000, excluding HST, which includes a $10,000 contingent. Motion, Councilor Pelkman, second by Councilor Canis. All in favor? Carried. Sidewalk recommendations. Motion to receive the report. Councilor Pelkman, second by Councilor Hippel. All in favor? Carried. I didn't know, were you going to speak to this one, CAO? Yes.
Through the chair to council, I'll just highlight a few things. In the 2024 approved capital budget, there was $220,000 earmarked for sidewalk upgrades, and council also directed that they wanted to focus or earmarks funds, part of those funds for Ward 2. As you see, there's a breakdown here of sidewalk repairs and replacements in Strathroy, Mount Bridges, Melbourne as well, and they're listed within the report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Any questions? Councilor Pelkman.
Yes, thank you. Just one, if I may, through you to the CAO, I guess. Is there sidewalk work being done on Queen Street in Strathroy? Am I reading that correctly? Or is that just the way it reads in the sense that it's Queen Street and Mount Bridges that's being done?
Mount Bridges. So the Queen Street project will have sidewalks as part of that project, but this is Queen Street, Mount Bridges.
That was my second part of my question. If you were saying Strathroy, is it not included already in the, yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Deputy Mayor.
In Strathroy Dell Drive, is the concern up on Dell Drive that people from the two schools, the two area schools there, are parking along Dell Drive, and that's why we have so many students walking along up there? And if that's the case, I'm wondering are the sidewalks going to solve the problem? Because you're just having an outpouring of students basically running into a drive who comes in, loops around, and comes out again. Is that the best use of the sidewalk money? So that's my thought. I'm not sure that Dell Drive is the one.
Through the chair to the deputy mayor. So when staff were completing this project, they did visual inspections of sidewalks, but then they also were looking specifically at sort of high traffic areas near schools, were sort of the two sort of priorities that they were looking at. So in regards to Dell Drive, again, it met the criteria of sort of those sidewalks near schools to help safe travel of pedestrians, and then the conditions as well. So I can't speak to, I can't provide any more further detail on that, but if you're seeking some follow-up, I certainly can follow up with staff and get some further detail.
Councillor Pammer.
Yeah, I'll just make a comment on this since I get to witness this every morning out my front window. So the parking on both sides of the street is a problem, and I'm sure as an officer you're well aware of that. But part of the problem is, without the even with the traffic and the parking, is there's no safe place for the kids to walk. So they're either walking in the center of the road because cars are parked, or in between traffic or across lawns. So there's no safe place. And I will say since COVID in the last 5 years, the amount of kids walking down Dell has increased significally to come into that lane. So there's the laneway to St. Vincent off of Dell. So taking that entrance right into the schoolyard. So it's considerably unsafe because of the parking situation, but I would agree that's a whole other situation. But the fact is that there's no safe place for these kids to use that entrance into St. Vincent. There's no sidewalk. So they have a choice of walking on the road between cars or across lawns.
Any other questions? Councillor Brennan.
This has come up before, and ironically, the most dangerous area for kids walking to school is right at the school, and the most dangerous thing are the parents who are driving cars, because parents who are driving cars who are letting kids off are letting them off randomly as close to the school as they possibly can, causing traffic and pedestrian congestion. If there is no sidewalk for the kids to go to, it's chaos. So I would say that we need to take a look at all of our schools in our urban areas and realize that the areas that have the greatest danger are the areas closest to the school that don't have sidewalks, because so many parents are driving frantically and in a very hurried way sometimes in the morning in that half-hour window to let kids off. And kids are jumping between cars, they're walking down the middles of roads, they're all over the place. If they don't have a designated sidewalk, it's significantly more dangerous.
Any other comments? Councillor Pelleman.
The only comment I have is more for in the future, that once the sidewalk is in, that we monitor in particularly the spot where the kids would have to cross the road to the pathway to the school, to see if we need to put a crossing guard there at some point.
Deputy Mayor is on hand.
I was just going to say, I mean, I'm not up there for any reason, so I don't have any firsthand, but it seems to me that the pathway from Dell into the school is the problem. We've just redone McKellar Street with new beautiful sidewalks. Perhaps they should be more motivated to walk up McKellar Street, and we need to take a more cohesive look with the help of the student or the parent teachers, like how everybody is moving around up there. If they're all using this one pathway and that's creating the problem, maybe that's the problem.
Thank you. Councillor Pammer, then we'll move on.
Yeah, that's an interesting comment, and it certainly is a greater problem at school times, so with the increase. But as I said, the neighborhood has seen a huge increase in young families. And so even on the weekends, kids are driving around on their bikes or whatever, and they just have nowhere to go, they're on the road. And then often they come through to the walkway to the school to access the playground equipment or whatever. So it's not just at the school time. There's, it's a drive and a court with a lot of kids, and because of course it's an ideal area to live in if you have young children, because there's so many schools close by. So yeah, it's just a problem all the time down there, but yeah, it should have been done at the time of the subdivision.
Right, thanks. We'll bring the motion just to comment for future, and Councillor Pelton, you've heard this. I did have a few, I don't want to over exaggerate, comments about Carroll from Queen and Saxton up to Parkview, about there not, apparently a few people do walk, not being any kind of a sidewalk or aware maybe in the future plans there could be a sidewalk when the subdivision is done, but just a request for next year, we look at even a tar and chip path to make it easy for people, but just want to note it that came up from just a few people. Motion that council directs staff to proceed with tendering the 2024 sidewalk program for Dell Drive in Strathroy, Queen Street, Longfield Street, Forbes Street, Bowen Street, and Adelaide Road in Mount Bridges, and Longwoods Road in Melbourne. So I'm going to bring the motion. Councillor Hippel, second by Councillor Kennis. All in favor? Carried. CAO report, the Employee and Family Assistance Program provider change. Motion to receive the report. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Wilsey. Thank you, Councillor. Any questions or comments before? Oh, sorry, Doug. Sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Council. So I'm happy to say that I'm here to save some money instead of spend some money. So the report before you talks about our EFAP program, commonly known as our Employee Assistance Program. So throughout the report, we've had this current provider, TELUS Health. It's changed names several times over the years, but it's currently called TELUS Health. We've had them since approximately April 1st, 2018. We currently use SelectPath, which is a provider out of London that administers our benefit programs. So that's our medical and dental program. So they've really put us onto a new solution before you tonight to save some money. They've been embarking with the county and several other local municipalities, and they're switching over purely based on cost. There's quite a cost savings, or a cost savings behind that. When I did a review of this program, I wanted to make sure that we maintained equal or better for our staff, and it equally does that. If I could hit the nail on the head outside of cost, what benefit it has for switching for our staff is we're switching into the Green Shield program. So Green Shield is our current benefit and dental medical provider. So the EAP program is through Green Shield. The sell for me on that is it's directly related to for staff, that if as a staff member are accessing EFAP, and I'm seeing a counselor, there's free sessions of that through the EAP. So if I run out of sessions through EAP, they already know what our current medical package is, and they'll divert us seamlessly into another consultant or another medical provider. So that's big for me, because I've had feedback over the last 4 or 5 years from staff that they've had challenges. They've reached out to a counselor through this provider. We've got some inconsistent feedback just with respect to some of the levels of service. So I'll end at that. I did put different pros and or the benefits within the report. Approximately about so per employee head count, $3.97 to $2.89 equates to about $2,600 savings a year. But I guess a month, sorry, that's better than nothing, right? So, and we're maintaining equal service. So that's what I have.
Any questions of the director? Seeing none, so we received the report, and motion to receive it, correct?
We still have to call the vote.
Yep, just call the vote. All in favor of receiving the report? Thank you. We have 8 reports from boards and committees. Motion to receive the reports. Councillor Brennan, second by Deputy Mayor. Are there any questions on any of them? Deputy Mayor.
11.1 Tri-Township Arena. Just want to point out that that board approved getting the new Zamboni, so probably January, February timeframe, I think it is. Takes a while to get it in. The other thing I want to say is that Tri-Township is operating 365 now. They have some sort of a nylon flooring where the ice pad used to be, and they're doing roller hockey, and there's a number of leagues playing in there. A women's league is playing in that building all summer long, so it's exciting to see that the building's turned into 365 instead of just the winter months.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, sorry, go on. lots there.
Sure, just
Yeah, so vote to receive, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Sorry, I'm thinking ahead to the county council highlights. I'm looking forward to those. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, we had a meeting last Tuesday, really interesting. There is the highlight in there. Just real quick, we talked about Bill 185, cutting red tape. Could be proclaimed as soon as before the summer break, which I think is mid-June. So in the next week or two, we'll find out whether the provincial government moves on it. Lots of interesting stuff going on in there. There's 5 themes: housing, land development, infrastructure, balancing houses with resources, which is kind of using your agricultural systems in an agri-land, agri-food network approach, and implementation, student housing. One of the big ones that caught my eye was, well, there's 2 things. We had spoke before at one of our special meetings about the Ministry of Finance using their numbers for the land needs analysis. That is in there. So we expect to see that come through. And getting more housing in agricultural. So of course we have some applications in our agricultural area now for ag workers to be getting housing right where they're working. So that is supposed to be made easier through the process, and I'm sure our director will have more information as things come along.
Thank you, Deputy. And reason I was a little preoccupied, I was trying to remember a number. One of the reports we got, Deputy, if you recall, was on child care in the county. And there was a shocking number. I mean, child care and housing are important to everyone this day and age. If you remember, the City of London is the service manager, but the number I'm going to give you doesn't come from the City of London, it comes from the province. I believe children in our municipality, in our county, receive less than half of what the municipality, what the City of London receives for child care, and less than even the county of Huron. So the point I was trying to make is that, we talk about what the county can provide, but it's actually the province, not to pick on the province, that isn't providing equality and equity in child care to our citizens. So that's what I was trying to remember, because it's a rather shocking number, and Councillor Burkhart-Jessen made a rather passionate plea that we receive our fair share of the pie. So I just wanted to point that out, because I do remember that. Thank you. Deputy, inquiries or comments? Starting with Councillor Hippel. Put you on the spot. You go first.
Thank you. Well, you kind of stole my thunder at the beginning of the meeting, because I was going to say congratulations, because I'm sure there was a large majority of people watching the Memorial Cup game last night. It's always nice to see 2 of our, I would say local children, but they're not children anymore, but local residents on both teams, opposing teams. So you kind of are rooting for both, even though we, Larry Cowan, we were really voting for your grandson, you know that. However, moving forward, actually, we were always talking about kids, and there's so much going on in the community, and we've had, whether it's sports or arts or all sorts of great things that go on with the children in our community. We have graduations coming up. We have elementary schools graduations coming up, and I'm always very excited about this, because these children are the ones that are going to be, these are our future. They'll be sitting in our chairs soon enough. And I'm always very excited to watch these, the youth come up from 8 to 10 years of elementary school to 4 or 5 years of high school. And it just flies by. And how grateful I am for all the new families and all the families that we have here, because we just have such a massive community of youth, and we really need to be encouraging them and supporting them as much as we possibly can. So if for some reason I miss it for our next meeting, I just want to say congratulations to every single one, and how exciting it is coming up for all of their graduations. That's it for me tonight.
Councillor Kennis.
I'd like to commend staff for all of their work in the many markets and events that have been taking place over the last month, like the night market. I don't think I had a chance to mention that at the last meeting, but that was held a couple of 3 weeks ago here in Strathroy. Just how well attended it was by people in the community. The streets were as full as you would see in London. Actually, there were people from London who said this was a better place to be than in London. So that night, all of the staff that are involved in organizing these various markets and events and days. The home show that was recently held at the Gemini, just a real community building at its finest. So I want to thank them for their extra effort.
Councillor Wilsey.
To continue on with Councillor Kennis's remark, I'd also like to thank all the business associations and all the community groups that have been at all these similar events. For example, we had the Mount Bridges Community Fest on Saturday, and we had all of Cenotaph Park filled with vendors and local residents and businesses, and it was great. Everyone was there all afternoon. The kids were playing in the splash pad. There were jumping castles up, and it was all arranged by the Mount Bridges Business Association, as well as the local Lions Club. Church, Lions Club, lots of people had barbecues, and the firefighters were there. It was a great event. I just wanted to give some recommendations out to everyone, even if they're not municipal staff, for all the work they do for making our community the place it is.
Councillor Brandon.
Thank you, Your Worship. The pool opened this morning, and there were 22 of us there for Aquafit. It was amazing. There's a new format going. If you haven't tried Aquafit before, you should come out. We had a lot of fun. There's also lane swimming. As well, recently, I was pulling a wagon with a little person, a grandchild in it the other day, and we went over to the Alexander Playground, had a lot of fun, and met 2 carloads of Americans who regularly stop here to have their kids play in the park, and specifically on our equipment as a way as they're moving across Michigan to get to Toronto. That was kind of fun. And then over at the library, man, I tell you, when you're retired, the library is a pretty dynamic place, especially Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 11 when Books and Babies is going on. And I go in there with the little fella, and we have a lot of fun playing with the toys. And there are snacks. So, and you know, I'm reacquainting my, Cheerios are fantastic, but and also the strawberry apple sort of mixture that they have is really fun too. But I guess the point is that in the library as well, you can see such a mixture of age groups during the day. There's people there getting all kinds of government paperwork done and accessing social services. Some people are actually signing up books. And I just think that now that the summer months are here, it's just great to see the dynamic. I know it goes all year long, but it just seems it's particularly visible in the summer. And I can't wait for the warmer days for the splash pad to become just a little bit more attractive in terms of the temperature. And I'll probably have a couple little kids over there playing the splash pad. But the amenities that we have in this town, I think, in some extent, are a legacy to the wise spending of council over the years and our interaction with many service groups. And that's something that I see on a regular basis in this community, and I think it's something that this council can aspire to continue. So thank you.
Councillor Cullen.
I don't think
you in the splash pad?
No, I can't compete with Books and Babies. But, what I am going to talk about is there's been, unfortunately, a number of individuals who passed away that I think deserve some recognition around the horseshoe here. The first would be Gil Cranen, who served many years on council and as our Reeve on county council. He served until 2006. I'm not sure when he got on, but he was on for quite a while, owned a business downtown. And after he retired from municipal politics, he graduated onto the Barbershoppers and did a lot of work for them. You have to talk about Norm Giffen in the same vein. Many, many years on council and extensive service with the Legion. I know that he carried the flag, I think, for decades in the parade. But he was also a very, very passionate member of the St. Clair Conservation Authority. I think he served as his chair for many years. He always walked from his house through the conservation area to downtown. had made a point of telling everyone about it. Jack Dobbs, also a long-term serving Legion member, served as president, I don't know how many terms, but also a municipal employee in our Works Department. Jim Armstrong, who was our Director of Recreation for a long time. Do you know how? Decades, I think, eh?
Yeah, longer than I can count.
Yeah. And not that this last person was a member of council, but John Vermeulen, a long-term serving Lions Club member. And for those people who were on council when he was at his most active time in the Lions Club, there was never any shyness about him sharing his opinion with you about where he thought the state of the town was, but he loved this community. And I came to appreciate him as a really, really decent man. And all those people will be sorely missed in our community.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Thank you. I don't have much. I was just going to give a heads up. Obviously, we're all now aware that the bridge is officially out on 81 Highway. On that note, be very careful on Christina. It has gotten extremely busy because we are now taking the flow of 81 Highway. So that is something I just want to make everyone aware of. Again, I want to let you know we're still out there planting. The weather has not been great for agriculture, so be careful. We are getting more and more rammy now, so we might actually fire our one finger salute back at you now. So it's getting to that time of season, but just again, you know, we're big and we go slow. So thanks.
Councillor Pamela. Councillor McGuire. No, thank you. Just two things real quick. I need to give a reminder to everyone of the Hometown Festival, June 14th to the 16th. But just on a business note, I had mentioned this to Director Wilborn, just to put on our radar screen. We have moved forward somewhat with the arena in Mount Bridges, but just to put on everyone's thought that I've talked to many members of the public, including some in Mount Bridges on Saturday, and I've had phone calls, and one request is that we come up with a plan moving forward. So we have a short-term plan, but a longer-term plan for 10 years out, 10 to 15 years out, that may include things like financing, you know, site where people are just want to know what is the there's some disappointment. They're not necessarily okay with it. They just want to know what is the long-term plan, council. So something for council to put on the radar screen that we need to think about as we do re-enter into budget discussions at some time. Schedule of meetings. The next regular council meeting is June 17th. With that, we're going to make a motion to move into closed session. Oh, sorry, Councillor Kenneth.
Is there a meeting June the 10th?
Through the chair to council, yes, there is the first strategic priorities committee meeting held in the committee room.
My apologies. Good catch, Councillor.
Next Monday, yes.
Next Monday. So recommendation to council move into closed session at 7:48 for the purpose of discussing the following. One item in accordance with council's procedure bylaw to approve in-camera meeting minutes. One item pursuant to section 239E of the Municipal Act, and one item pursuant to section 239I of the Municipal Act. Motion to move into closed session. Councillor Kennis, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Carried. missing, sorry. Recommendation to close session adjourned at 8:40 and open session resumed. Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Hippel, all in favor, carried. Report on closed session. We met in closed session to deal with one item in accordance with Council's procedure bylaw, one item pursuant to section 239(2)E of the Municipal Act, and one item pursuant to section 239(2)I of the Municipal Act. Motion that the direction in closed session be approved. Councilor Brennan, we're gonna get there. Seconded by Councilor Palmer, all in favor? Okay.
What's the direction? We didn't give any direction.
We did. Well, we haven't done the vote yet. We're getting there. The next motion, Deputy Mayor.
If I may, there were procedural matters.
Yep.
There were
Procedural matters.
in camera that we needed to confirm.
Yep.
Oh, that's the direction we gave. Okay.
Yeah, the next motion deals with where you're
Okay,
at.
I didn't,
Yep. Motion to council award the organizational review of Caradoc Housing. Now we can have the discussion. Deputy Mayor.
So I'll make the motion that we award the organizational review to BDO with an initial kickoff meeting to be presented to council for expectations and objectives being defined.
Okay. Did you want to put in the amount there? Because it does ask for the amount, Deputy Mayor. I don't know
Yes, for that amount.
if,
That's in the report.
clarity is the BDO. Just gonna get it, make sure we get it in the motion.
That's just the 15.
Yes, just want to get a clarification.
So phase 1 is 15,000.
Yep, for 15,000.
Phase 1, 15,000.
I think we need to say phase 1.
Phase 1, 15,000. Okay, a seconder for your motion. Councilor Palmer, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Consideration of bylaws.
The first bylaw before council this evening is bylaw 4024, which is providing for the construction of the Thornton during 2024. The recommendation here is that bylaw 4024 receive third and final reading.
Motion that bylaw number 4024 receive third and final reading. Councilor Derbyshire, second by Councilor Pelkman, all in favor? Carried.
Bylaw number 5324 is a bylaw providing for the collection of repairs on municipal drains. The recommendation is that bylaw 5324 receive first, second, and third and final reading.
Motion that bylaw number 53-24 receive first, second, third, and final reading. Councilor Brennan, second by Councilor Kennis, all in favor? Carried.
Bylaw number 5524 is a bylaw to appoint a deputy clerk for the Municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc. The recommendation is that bylaw 5524 receive first, second, and third and final reading.
The bylaw number 5524 appointing deputy clerk Melanie Carson receive first, second, third, and final reading. Councilor Pelkman, second by Councilor Hippel, all in favor? Carried.
And the final bylaw before council this evening is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of this evening's meeting for June 3rd, 2024. The recommendation, is that bylaw 5624 receive first, second, third, and final reading.
Someone to bring the motion. Councilor Kennis, second by Councilor Pelkman, all in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn at 8:44 p.m.
Before sunset.
Councilor Kennis, second by Councilor Brennan, all in favor? Carried.
Actually,